Well, hello and welcome to Southern College of Optometry's webinar on life after optometry school. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you're all staying safe and healthy. My name is Avery Cunningham. I'm a Student Services and Admissions Officer here at SCO. I'm one of the admissions team members and someone who will be answering your questions and kind of walking you through the admissions process when you choose to apply for our institution if you have not already. Before we get started, I ask that we all use proper Zoom etiquette by keeping microphones muted unless speaking, limiting background noise, and respecting all of this webinar's attendees and facilitators. We will have some time for questions towards the end of the webinar, but in the meantime, if you do have any questions or concerns that need immediate attention, please use your chat feature at the bottom of your screen to communicate with us. Today, we'll be discussing life after optometry school and how Southern College of Optometry helps our students prepare for their careers beyond the degree. Mr. Mike McKeever, the program coordinator for the Hayes Center for Practice Excellence, will give a brief overview of the history of the Hayes Center, along with a discussion around private practice and the many resources the Hayes Center provides. There will be a time for questions towards the end, and as I said, if you have any pressing questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to let us know in the chat. This webinar is being recorded and will be free and available to view starting next week on our website. So Mr. McKeever, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, and we'll go ahead and get started.
Thank you very much, Avery, and welcome everybody. I hope you all had a very safe and relaxing Thanksgiving break, and I know we're all looking forward to Christmas break that is right around the corner. Before we all do that, we just wanted to check in with you and give you a brief and informative session on, as Ms. Cunningham said, life after optometry school, and really how Southern College of Optometry provides the tools and resources for you to be successful in the practice of optometry when you graduate. A little bit about me. I've been with the college for about 10 years now, formerly in admissions. I used to work in the same office that Ms. Cunningham works in. I've been with the Hayes Center for about 5 years now, but I have about 20 years of experience in higher education administration. I've worked at several universities and colleges of different sizes and different focuses. Can we go to the next slide, please? So I want to talk briefly about the Hayes Center and what it is and what we offer. All of you probably at your respective colleges and universities probably have a career services department. That is essentially what we are. We are the career services arm of the college. We do everything that a normal career services office does. We do career counseling, mock interviews, resume writing, job placement services, all the normal stuff. But we have another more singular, more focused purpose, and that is we prepare our students with the tools, resources, and education they need to be successful in the independent practice of optometry. I'm talking about private practice optometry. I'm talking about not just going out and working for a Pearl Vision or a Lens Crafters for a larger organization practice optometry. I'm talking about owning and operating your own independent business with the practice of optometry. So we'll talk a little bit about how that functions and how to prepare for that. But before that, I want to kind of dive deep into the past and tell a little bit about how we started. The Hayes Center was founded in 2005 by a very generous donation by SCO alumnus, Dr. Jerry Hayes and his wife, Chris. Dr. Hayes graduated way back in 1973, a long time ago. That's even before I was born. When he graduated from SCO, he went out to be very, very successful in his own optometry practice, really built that business into something very, very large and successful. Since then, he has gone on to be very, very successful in many other aspects of business. We really call him a serial entrepreneur, very, very accomplished and successful guy. And it was because of his generosity and, more important, his belief in our students and their potential that allows us at the Hayes Center to do what we do and to be able to provide the resources for our students. Patient care is the profession of optometry, but the entity you do that in is a business. Like I said, in the past, that was pretty much the only path for optometry. Students graduated from optometry school. They went out, they either opened their own practice or they bought out a practice from a doctor that was retiring and hung their shingle and practiced for the next 35 years until they retired. The profession has obviously expanded a lot since then, since its beginnings, and there's many other modalities and many other ways you can practice optometry, but the foundation of the profession was, is, and will be the independent practice of optometry. Next slide, please, Avery. We often say that our students here, and we tell them this at orientation, that they are truly standing on the shoulders of giants. And I know that's a cliche phrase, but it's very important to point to kind of what we're talking about. As I said in the slide earlier, that the profession of optometry was built by individuals running their own businesses in the independent practice of optometry. Everything that we have as a profession, everything that was built for us as a profession is from private practice of optometry. And that goes for the future as well. The expansion of the profession, new technologies, what have you, in any way that would look, depends on the survival of the business aspects of optometry. It depends on individuals going out with an entrepreneurial spirit, starting their own practices or purchasing optometric practices and expanding the profession that way. And that is our core mission, to again provide students with tools and resources they need to be in the successful endeavor of that. Next slide, please. So talk a little bit about the paths of private practice, kind of what that looks like after you graduate. And again, many different modalities of the ways you can practice optometry, but I'm talking about graduates that choose to go into a life of private practice. And this is kind of, the path from, graduating from optometry school, all the way up to eventual retirement and the sale of the business. So normally what happens when you graduate, when you're out there looking for your first job, you're looking to join an optometric practice as a doctor. You'll typically join as what's called an associate. That'll be, typically around 3 to 5 years of working right after school. Number one, working to try to be a better clinician. And also on top of that, hopefully getting mentorship from the partners or the practice owners on the business aspects of optometry, how the practice is run, staff management, inventory, things like that. So it's kind of the ideal path as I see it. You're not just out there spinning your wheels as an associate, just seeing patients all day. That's obviously important. That's the core of the profession of what we do. But you're also kind of learning skills that you'll need to be successful in business if you would choose to one day buy into a practice, buy out a practice, or start your own practice. And normally, in that path too, you work for 3 to 5 years as an associate. And then if it's a group practice situation where there are many doctors owning this practice, then after that time, if you're seeing eye to eye on both sides, if you're ready to jump, you have the opportunity to buy into the practice or buy out a retiring doctor. So normally, if you're buying into the practice, you become what's called a junior partner. So you own a certain share of the business. You have obviously making a lot more money than you were just as an associate. But you also have power of decision making. You are, part of the partners of running this business. So you get to decide how things go. It's a little bit more freedom than just you were as an associate before. As time goes on, if you bought out a retiring doctor, you will be the sole owner of the practice. Or again, if it's a group practice situation, you become a senior managing partner. Again, you either own the business outright yourself, or you would own a larger share of the practice, and again, have more decision-making power, have more freedom, and maybe most importantly, have a lot more financial freedom. After that is the growth stage. That is when maybe you're hiring associates of your own. Maybe the business has grown so much that it's outgrown the building you're in. Then you are purchasing new practices, expanding the footprint of your business. And then after that, 5 to 10 years from retirement, you're looking at the time horizon of when you'd like to be done, when you'd like to move on from the business. Then you're looking at mentoring another young associate to maybe one day buy the practice, and to hopefully sell that practice. And that's usually part of your retirement. So if you think of owning a business, you are essentially building equity towards your retirement, so to one day sell that business and use that money for your retirement funds, similar to selling any other asset like that. that's just kind of, obviously this subject has a lot more to it, but this is just kind of the general path of private practice. Next slide, please. So any student that walks into our office leaves with one of these printouts. This is very, very important. This is the optometric wealth building timeline. And it just goes to show you, this is in 2012 dollars. Obviously, this does need to be updated, but we don't have any newer data from where this was published. But in general terms, this is very, very important. It just kind of shows you the differences over the span of a professional life, what an employed OD would make, as opposed to an independent OD owner. And as you can see, the first few years, that line is pretty close together, but around 5 years out, that blue line, that independent OD owner really starts to take off. So truly is, what I call the path to freedom in this profession is some sort of ownership opportunity in practice. That does not just mean, opening cold or going out and opening your own business and being the sole doctor and calling on the shots and having all that responsibility. There's a wide array of how that could look in the profession. But again, the true path to freedom, and that's freedom of decision making, that's freedom of your time, and that's financial freedom, is through private practice ownership in some essence, be that sole doctor, be that group practice, any way you look at it. But equity share, equity stake in practice is really the path to financial freedom in this profession. Next slide, please. So how do we prepare you for all that while you're in school? So, and there's a lot going on this slide, and this is just kind of hitting the high points of everything that the Hayes Center has to offer while you're in school. I will talk about all these in detail in the next slide. And we do a lot here at the Hayes Center. But the point I really want to hit home with this slide is that the Hayes Center is truly a co-curricular program that really moves alongside your didactic and your clinical education while you're at SCO. So over the course of the 4 years, we have different touch points every year with different activities that you'll be involved with the Hayes Center to really prepare you for that next step after optometry school. And again, we'll kind of dive into a lot of these in detail in the coming slides. Avery, next slide, please. I want to talk first about Optometry's Practice Connection. So what is Optometry's Practice Connection? That is SCO's full scope online job placement service. This service is available exclusively to SCO students and alumni. So while you're a student, you can use this service to help you find a job after graduation. Once you graduate, this service is available to you for life as an alumni, be it that maybe you are ready to make a career change a few years down the road, or maybe you want to hire your own associates when you've bought into a practice or purchase a practice later. You can use this service to hire SCO graduates. It's free of charge for any provider. So anyone in the optometric industry that wants to post a job ad or post a practice for sale is free to use this service. But again, the users of this, the ones that are searching for the jobs, are just SCO students and alumni. We are one of the largest, or maybe the largest online repository of optometric positions in the country. Right now, there's over 1,000 opportunities listed. And any one time, typically third, primarily fourth year students and a handful of alumni, are actively using the site. So that just goes to show you that there are many, many, many more opportunities available out there than there are young associates or alumni out there to fill them. The point I really want to make here is that, you'll probably talk to a lot of people at this point when you're, still deciding on if optometry, is the right path for you. But never let anybody tell you that now is not a good time to be an optometrist. There's too many ODs, or the market is saturated with ODs. That is categorically false. And again, just on our system alone, this is one job placement service among many, and we have over 1,000 opportunities listed. There are doctors and practices out there that are desperate for associates to come work on their practice. I know because I talk to them. They call me regularly on a weekly basis. I talk to SCO alumni and other doctors all the time asking me, what can I do? I need someone in here to come work on my practice. So I really think that's a cool thing for all of you, when you're choosing where to go to graduate school. I do realize this is a big investment, not only a financial investment, but a time investment to do this. And I think that it's very, very cool to know that at least this part of the investment is going to pay off, that you are going to have a job when you graduate. We work very, very hard in the Hayes Center to get our graduates placed before they even graduate. We essentially do have a 100% job placement rate at SCO, and most students are signing contracts and being committed to practices during the spring semester of their fourth year, their final semester here at SCO. I personally went to graduate school with the hope that it would one day pay off with a good career, but our students are finding these great jobs and starting their careers before the ink is even dry in their diploma. So I think that's a very good value add for not just choosing SCO, but choosing a career in optometry. Next slide, please. We do a lot of career counseling at the Hayes Center. It becomes compulsory in your third and fourth year, but it's available to you at any time during the 4 years while you're here. Typically the first 2 years, the programs we have for you, we meet all together in a group. But specifically during your third year, that's when we start to really kind of work with you more on a granular level and work with you more on an individual level. So during your third year, number one, you're going to take a year-long practice management course with Dr. Lisa Wade, who works with me here in the Hayes Center. We'll talk a little bit more of that in a minute, but during that time also, you are all required to, each third year student is required to meet with me for a career counseling session to really discuss your career opportunities. At that point during third year, it's really to kind of gauge kind of where you are in the program, kind of what your thoughts are that life is going to look like after graduation, kind of what your career aspirations are at that point. And then we'll discuss, how I can help you kind of get there, help you kind of move closer towards the finish line. During your fourth year, while you're on externs, you'll be required to come back again and meet with Dr. Wade again as a fourth year, and that's to really kind of see where you are in that career search process, discuss any kind of specific employment offers you may have, and then we'll be even reviewing your contracts. A really big value add we do at the Hayes Center is we offer free employment contract reviews for all of our students and our graduates. We review every fourth year's potential contracts before they walk out of the door here. So that's a service that, if you would go third party with, it would cost you hundreds of dollars, if not more, to have these reviews. So we are proud to be able to offer that service to help students not only understand the terms of these agreements, but we know the trends out there. We know the red flags, we know what to look for, we know what to look out for, and most importantly, we know what you should be paid. We know what the market is, so we can really help you negotiate even better compensation. We work very, very closely with the financial aid office. Our goal here at SCO, not just the Hayes Center, but the college in general, is to keep your debt to a minimum. It costs a lot to go to graduate school. As you all are doing your research and kind of calculating the amount of money you're about to borrow. That's a lot. I'm not going to mince words about that. Number one, at the college, we try to keep our tuition as low as possible, keep that very, very competitive. But again, we work with you while you're in school to keep you borrowing as little as you need. So the goal is that you can get out with as little debt as possible, and that opens up more options for you for practice. One thing I always tell students is, I don't want your level of debt to determine your goals and kind of your actions after graduation. That's not why you got into this. That's not why you made this commitment. You make a commitment to a graduate program in optometry partly because you want to live life on your terms. You want a little bit more freedom. So don't let your student loan debt determine what you're going to do after graduation. And again, we work very, very close with you and have a number of programs available to help you understand personal finance, understand what you're borrowing, and give you tools and resources to borrow the bare minimum you need to be successful here at SCO. Next slide, please. So kind of taking you through the 4 years and some of the programs and services that are available to you with the Hayes Center. I talked a little bit earlier, during the first couple of years, we work with you kind of more in groups with a lot of different programs and services. Number one, you will take a financial literacy course, pre-enrollment, and this is sponsored by the financial aid program. So the summer before you matriculate to SCO, you will take a course in financial literacy, just to kind of give you the ins and outs of spending and saving and budgeting and really kind of how to understand and manage money. I think this is really, really important. This is something that I never had when I was younger, and I really could have benefited from by, entering, college and grad school with this kind of knowledge. Those are not subjects that are covered a lot in traditional undergraduate courses. And these are things you need to know to, again, learn how to manage your money while you're in school and beyond, and keep your debt to a minimum. We have you take what's called the DISC behavioral assessment. If you're familiar with Myers-Briggs, it's similar to that, but it's kind of more applicable to the health professions. So we sponsor that program. You'll take that behavioral assessment before you matriculate. That really helps you kind of understand really who you are, how you relate to the world, how you relate to your peers, your future colleagues, and really how you relate to patients and how you can better communicate with them. During the first 2 years, we have large programs called Focus on Your Future. Again, we'll kind of meet together as a class to do these, and we'll bring in speakers from all the different modalities of optometry, the optometric industry, different aspects of business, to just give you kind of a wide array of what's out there and what's possible. As a first-year student and beyond, you have the opportunity to join what's called the Optometric Private Practice Club, or it's OPP. That is one of the largest student organizations on campus. They have monthly meetings, and again, bring in speakers from all over the optometric industry. We have a lot of smaller events throughout the 4 years called Lunch and Learns. Normally we have a speaker on campus or someone related to the profession that's in town that we think could benefit speaking to a smaller group. We will arrange smaller first come, first served sessions for you to come get some face time with one of these individuals in a smaller session. We have a lot of networking events. What I have found over the course of my career is that networking is something that a lot of students struggle with. And I can understand that. It's really, really hard to what they call grip and grin, to go out to an event and introduce yourself and shake hands. But that's really, really important, especially for helping you find a job after graduation. So we really give you the tools and resources while you're here at SCO to practice that and be successful with it. We have a lot of meet and greet events on campus and off, where we give students the opportunity to mingle and interact with alumni, and not only just general alumni, but alumni who are actively seeking associates in the next 3 years. So these are SCO alumni that are going to be hiring very, very soon. So they are eager to meet you. So we want to give you the tools and resources to successfully meet them. And again, we offer walk-in career counseling over the course of the 4 years. And again, with the career counseling initiative, these next 2 points, we kind of cover them in the slide before. During the 3rd year, you will meet with me. During the 4th year, you'll meet with Dr. Wade. So hopefully that will prepare you adequately for graduation. Next slide, please. So we talked a little bit about the Focus on Your Future programs. These are typically offered, 2 to 3 times per year per class. Again, you'll meet together as a class. These are offered, during the day, not on the weekend or during evenings. So you don't have to kind of give up your personal time to do these. Typically on the 2nd Wednesday of each month during the morning hours. The campus does not have classes. They're reserved for if we need to have campus-wide meetings, or if faculty or different department meetings. That's when we reserve these times in the morning for our Focus on Your Future event. So it's a great time to come back as a class to talk about different practice modalities, your practice strategies, and just really hear from various speakers in the business aspects of optometry. During your 1st year you come, we do a really popular one called the Good, Bad, and the Ugly. about optometry, and we bring in 10 to 15 optometrists from about every aspect of profession you can even imagine, not just private practice. We bring in people from, corporate practice, your America's Best, your lens crafters. We bring in people from that work in clinical or hospital settings. We bring in doctors from the Veterans Administration. We bring in people from the optometric industry. We bring in doctors who have chosen to go the military route to kind of hear their perspective. So it's our goal during your first year of optometry school to just expose you to as many different aspects of the profession as possible. Next slide, please. Mentioned a little bit during the third year, while that we're, getting a little more granular and meeting on an individual basis, you are going to take a 2-semester-long practice management course taught by Dr. Lisa Wade, who also works here with me in the Hayes Center. Dr. Wade has been on faculty here since she graduated in 1984. She stepped away for several years and successfully ran her own business. So she is the perfect individual to teach this course. The course is taught a little bit differently than you might think, and taught a little bit differently than a lot of practice management courses are taught in other optometry schools. It's not just focusing on, what equipment to buy, what frame lines you want to carry, and things like that. Those are the easy stuff. We really talk about the ins and outs of what it really takes to successfully manage a business. We talk about proper inventory management, staff management, HR, how to read an income statement, how to read a profit and loss statement, things to think about when you're doing your taxes, how to structure the business. Is this going to be an S Corp? Is this going to be an LLC? I know I'm throwing out a lot of maybe unfamiliar terms to you, but these are the important things about how to run a business that are not just applicable to optometry, but applicable to the business world as a whole. So again, while you're in that class during the fall and spring semester, you're also working with me on the individual basis, not just for your career counseling, but we are working with you during that time to help you develop your professional resume and your CV. You will help develop a professional LinkedIn page, and you will also start to really develop your online brand to get your placement page going to really kind of jumpstart that career search. During the third year, you'll also have your last Focus on Your Future program. That'll be in the spring semester. That's called the Bon Boy Eyes program. Number one, that's a program for you all to come together for the last time as a group before you go out on your externs during your fourth year. So we're going to talk about, really how to make the most of your externships. We're going to bring in current students who are on externs and really all the different modalities that are available with that to really kind of talk about their experience, what's good about it, what's bad about it, and really what's the best way to prepare for it. A lot of you might choose to do a one-year residency education program after you graduate. So we bring in current and past residents to really kind of share their experience. And Dr. Cheryl Mengelt, who is the director of our residency program, comes on site to really give you the ins and outs of how to be a competitive and successful residency applicant. The core of that program, though, is when we host our Hayes Center for Practice Excellence Awards. And what those are is where we recognize 3 young alumni who have graduated in 10 years or less, so not very far removed from where you will be at that point, that have been very, very successful in the practice of optometry in 3 different ways. We give 1 award out for a graduate who has done a cold start. And what that means is they have gone out and opened a practice cold, built it from the ground up, purchased or leased the space, bought all the equipment, bought the frame lines, kind of set it up the way they want to. We give another award for a graduate who has acquired a practice, bought it from either a retiring OD or otherwise. And then the third award is a partnership award. So we award a graduate who's been very successful in joining a group practice as a partner. So again, we were very, very careful when we're giving out these awards. We want these to go to young alumni. So you're not seeing, old gray-haired people to, tell you what success is like over 35 to 40 years in the profession. We want you to see what's possible in a very short time after you graduate. So it's a very, very popular program. The Hayes family, Dr. Jerry Hayes, also comes on campus to meet you all and to celebrate with us. So that's what the Bon Voy Eyes program is during the 3rd year. Next slide, please. So during your 4th year, I've touched on this a little bit before, but if you're not aware that, the core of the 4th year at SCO is you are on your externships, and you'll do 3 externships while you're at SCO during 4th year. Number 1, and they'll be kind of broken up, whether they're in the summer or the fall or the spring semester. They're not set, so a set number of you will be either on campus or off at different times. So the way those are structured is 1 semester you will be at our clinic here in the Eye Center as a 4th year extern. One of them will be what's called an institutional extern, and that will be at a medically oriented practice, what we call an OD-MD, which is typically an ophthalmology practice that employs optometrists, or it could be at a hospital, or it could be at a Veterans Administration, something like that. And then the 3rd extern will be at a private practice. We're the only college of optometry in the United States that requires our students to rotate through a private practice as part of their extern. So I think that's a very, very important topic to hit on, and another good reason to choose an institution like SCO. Those 2 externs that are not at our clinic here in the Eye Center, those can be either in the Memphis area, or they could be anywhere around the country. So we have extern sites in, I think, close to all 50 states. So a lot to choose from. But why am I talking about all that? So while you're on externs, when you're out there, we are still here to help you. We still have programming in place to help you with the Hayes Center to keep you on track for graduation and finding that job and being successful. One thing we have is the private practice simulation program. You will participate in that program this semester when you're on campus here in the Eye Center clinic. So about 1/3 of the class will take this together, and that is taught by Dr. Glenn Goldring at this point. And that is quite literally running a private practice simulation from the idea of the practice to planning everything to opening the practice. So really kind of going through, like, quite literally what is called a simulation of opening your own practice. During that time also, I talked about earlier, we will start reviewing your contracts, and that can happen at any time during the 4th year. Students typically will have multiple offers. So it's not uncommon that I'll review maybe 5 or 6 contracts for one individual student. So again, I think that's a very big value add. I know that, prior to my experience in this facet of the industry, that I did not know how to read an employment contract. It's a very, very important legal document. A lot of students that are 25, 26 years old graduating have never had to sign a document like this. These are, like I said, a serious legal document that has serious legal consequences, and we want to make sure that you, number one, understand them. Number one, understand the terms and what's expected of you, understand the compensation models. And again, we have reviewed thousands of these things at this point. We know the trends, and we know what should be compensated, so we can really help you negotiate better compensation and benefit packages. We offer a capstone program that occurs the week during graduation. It's really a bridge between optometry school and that first job in practice. It usually occurs, the day or two before you graduate. It's students enjoy it too, because you actually get to come back as a group, after being on externs for 3 semesters, and that's really the first time when you're all back together to celebrate as a group before your graduation. But again, we bring in more speakers from different aspects of the industry, and really speakers that are aligned to really help you with that transition between school and business. Really, topics such as practice management, emerging technologies, pharmacology updates, and really people from the industry about kind of tools and materials that you'll need in that first year of practice to be successful. Next slide, please. So all the things we talked about that are available to you with the Hayes Center for Practice Excellence at SCO, that really does not stop when you graduate. So our office is also housed in the alumni office. So all the programs and services that were available to you as a student through the Hayes Center are available for you for life as an SCO alumni. That's 5, 10, 20, even 30 years out. Anything that you had access to as a student is available to you as an alumni. It's not uncommon where I've talked to sometimes people that are 30 years out that come to us for our tools and our resources. It's especially important maybe during that first 5 years, the job that you pick right after graduation might not be the job that you retire in. So it's not uncommon that a few years out where you are ready to make a jump to another practice, we can review your contracts, help you with that. If you might be ready to buy in or purchase a practice, we can connect you with resources you need to be successful in that endeavor. We have a very wide array of trusted and vetted professionals and resources to help with practice acquisition and things like that. Again, we can review your contracts for life. We sponsor networking events where you can come as an alumni to when you might be ready to hire your own associate to come back and network with SCO students to hire your own associate. We offer a wide array of continuing education courses, again, practice consultations. We have a wide network of professionals and individuals for practice acquisition, cold starts, anything you could think of. And last but certainly not least, the Practice of Excellence Awards that we talked about earlier that you will attend as a student during your first 10 years as an alumni. You'll have the opportunity to apply as yourself to be a contestant to hopefully be selected for one of those awards. So again, it's a lot that we do at the Hayes Center for our students, but again, that transfers to you when you graduate to SCO. So the investment that you made in us continues to pay off while you're an alumni. Next slide, please. That really ends the formal part of the presentation. I talked a lot about what is offered to you, just through the Hayes Center at SCO, but I'm happy to hang on here and answer any questions you may have.
Alrighty, any questions? Alrighty, I'm not seeing anything right now, Mr. McKeever, but your contact information is on the screen. Are students free and able to reach out to you should they have any questions going forward?
Absolutely.
Alrighty then, well, in that case, that brings us to the end of our webinar. I know Mr. McKeever has covered a lot of wonderful information this morning, and I hope this experience has been of assistance as you all start on your optometric journey. Our next webinar will not be until the new year. We won't be holding any webinars in December, so please look out on our website for updates for what the next year's roster of informational admissions webinars will look like here at SCO. But in the meantime, we wish you all the happiest of holidays, and thank you so much for attending. If you have not done so already, I invite you to request more information by signing up for our inquiry form. By doing that, you will receive a personal advisor and a personal brochure with information relevant to your goals and experiences. Thank you so much, Mr. McKeever, for sharing of your time and your experiences, and a special thank you for all of our attendees who have joined us. We hope to see you all at the next webinar in the new year, but in the meantime, have a great rest of your week and take care.
Thank you. See you later.